Hey, and welcome to the Open Mic Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing sales and automation and the mindset around this to help you achieve better results. Sales requires many moving parts and contributions, not only from the sales pro, but the company who's employing the sales pro, the marketing, the client's actions, how they interact with it. You know, don't forget the competition and what happens there. And that could be the competition's excellent or lazy. You know, and all these to move a tentative inquiry through to what I call a satisfied client with you and your organization. And, you know, when I look at the success of us we've grown over the years, I always try and challenge my team to think out loud around the following. And that is, how can we better position ourselves to stay in control and provide an exceptional buyer experience that positions us as the number one choice for the client to do business with? And I hope for you guys listening on the app, so if you're watching this on the blog or the YouTube channel, you picked up what I said there, a buyer experience, not a seller experience. And that is pretty important because today's sales pro has to be dialed into so much more, than just sales disciplines. You know, they need to be commercially astute, commercial and competent in marketing, clear on customer behavior patterns, buyer profiles and authoritative as people themselves. And I'm privileged to be joined again by what I would call an indisputed leader in this field and one of the most respected sales pros that I know in the world. And he's a lot more than a sales pro. He's significantly higher than that, but it's a simple way to do that. And a very warm welcome back to the show to Jeremiah o.sarkett, the shark himself from Infusionsoft in Phoenix, Arizona. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule today to join us today, Shark. How's things going?
It's great to be with you again, Mike, and cheers to you again, Jamie. Great show. I'm pleased to be back here and honored, humbled.
Absolutely. And I know you've been all over the world. Jeremiah, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Jeremiah in a moment. And as I say, it's an absolute pleasure because the power, the energy, the positivity, the amount it gives away, not just on this show, but, all across his own channels and other guest contributions is phenomenal. And just to sort of give you a little bit of background about Jeremiah, he works with small business owners to build and execute marketing and sales strategies to help connect with prospects and customers. He creates true ironclad sales and service funnels and delivers various sessions on training on a product that he champions as very much, which is called selling to serve. And if you want to learn more about that, we did a podcast about, 12, 18 months ago, where Jeremiah guested and talked all about selling to serve. I think it's episode 5 right out of the gate. But if you want to head over to jeremiahshark.com, so that's JEREMIAHSHARK.com, you can find a lot more about selling to serve and a lot more about what Jeremiah does on there. Jeremiah is an absolute rock inside Infusionsoft.com. He's helped over 3,000 small businesses automate and grow, and has personally grown numerous businesses and partners to multi-million-dollar levels. He currently ranks the second all-time in revenue generation at Infusionsoft, and believe you me, that is no mean feat. That is a very competitive industry and a very good quality organization, and to be second on that list, I know Shark will be telling me wants to be first, but that's a major milestone. What I like about it, Jeremiah is somebody who just not only embraces life, but also the challenge it brings. He faces these sort of challenges with optimism while always assisting others. He gets the altruism and gives first. He certainly does what he says on the tin. I'm honored to say I have him as a friend, and as a business associate, and he constantly leads by example. So he has a proven, and when people throw that word around, proven track record, it's as if it's a statement that they just pull out of a lucky bag or make up on the fly because it sounds good. But actually, how many can turn the pockets out and actually put the result on the board and show it? And this man, Jeremiah Shark, can certainly do that. So outside of sales and working, with Infusionsoft.com and of building his own JeremiahShark.com brand, he's an athlete, a public speaker, a sales and marketing expert, and a coach. Originally from Michigan, a Michigan man by heart, but today he's a native of Arizona and a former local college athlete. So I don't know what I've missed there, Shark. I really don't. But what I always like to do on the show is put my sort of spin on the subject that we're going to do, give an update based off bios and what we know. But there's no better way than you to sort of fill in the blanks fill in that color about your bio, about your career, family man, all that, whatever you feel comfortable about. Let's get you, a little bit of backfill on the show and tell us a little bit more about the man, the myth, the legend, Jeremiah o.sarkett.
Well, thanks for all of that, Mike. My goodness. And Mike and I go way, way back to when I was working and supporting and managing our UK partners. Those members are like second family to me today. And I'm forever grateful for, Infusionsoft in my role, because I've got a chance to meet incredible humans and marketing and sales leaders across this big planet, you guys. Just honored again to be on the show, Mike. And, I think what's happening lately for Shark is Shark Daddy. I've got the little man, Victor, in our world. And it's been incredible to be with him and to learn from him and just continue to grow every day with the little guy. And when I came back from my trip, he spoke of the trip that I just took to Asia and Australia a little bit ago. And when I came back, it was a longer trip, but just to see his development in a couple of weeks, very, very impressive.
It's amazing when you take that step away and come back and you just see those little characteristics and everything's amazing.
He weighed more, he was longer, and he was able to do a lot of things that, he wasn't doing before. Yeah, his development was incredible.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit, about how the Shark comes in, because people be listening here and don't forget, we're speaking about sales here. And when you put sales and Shark together, it can come across as a negative, but this is not what this is about. So for long-time listeners of the show, and you've got people who've already listened to Jeremiah before, that's awesome. You'll know that it couldn't be further from the truth. But for new listeners, Jeremiah, I want to just share that story again about how the Shark came out. And obviously we've got the brand Jeremiah Shark rocking now, which is looking awesome. And,
I'm more of that sea turtle from what was that, Finding Nemo. That I'm kind of more of that sea turtle, Mike, and that teddy bear, I'll grab you and hug you. But it came from work at Infusionsoft. It was our first director on the sales floor, because I started as a sales advisor, and that was kind of a hard thing for me to dial it back and kind of learn again. I had been a director for a number of years, and to come back and be a rep again, I had to take a couple of steps back to take that giant leap forward, if you will. Yeah. And doing it, I saw a couple things. I saw that, there was a bit of entitlement at that time. And I think there always is with a good sales organization. And that was actually my in, though. I could kind of outwork the team maybe, or approach that entitlement to my advantage. And certainly, team players like me take that entitlement culture and erode it a bit. So I think that's why I was given that name, the Shark, because of the hard work, the hunter mentality from a sales perspective, the 5 hours of talk time and 200 dials per day. And everybody knew that I was into surfing. I got my insulated surfboard hat on, but I'm a waterman. So the Shark kind of came naturally, but our director had this bronze shark and he put it on my desk and said, "You're the real shark around here." Pretty loud, where everybody kind of had heard that and they just went with it.
Absolutely. And it's really, really funny. We recorded a podcast last week with an amazing female entrepreneur called Kim Orleski from Calgary in Canada. And she was talking about the stories that people remember. So, that's exactly that. And I just love that story. I never get tired of hearing about how you develop that, the Shark, and it sticks. And look today, it's on the t-shirt, Jeremiah Shark. And by the way, if you want one of Jeremiah's t-shirts, you head over to jeremiahshark.com and you can buy that out of a trusted site, a trusted Shopify site. You can click on there. Low is about $20 start price or something.
Yeah, I'm making about $3 a pop. It's not about that. It's about just kind of getting the brand out there and people that know me wear the shirts, with pride, without question.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know what it was going to be, Mike. Like, I didn't know, and I didn't really like it at first. I wanted to be called Jeremiah or Jer. And I was thinking, how could the Shark get promoted? Who's going to promote the Shark, or who's going to buy from the Shark? That's scary, right? But I made it work.
Absolutely. So head over to jeremiahshark.com if you want to pick up that merchandise. And if you've got any questions outside of the show, we don't cover something for you today. If you want to use the hashtag #TheOpenMic, or either on Instagram or Twitter, and you send that in, we'll get those answered for you. You can connect with Jeremiah on LinkedIn. He's an open networker, or head over and message him on jeremiahshark.com. So
you can, Mike, they can even book with me a free session there, guys, if you want. And that's, I think, what we're going to talk about today is, giving first and trying to give value first.
Absolutely. I missed that actually call to action. And I don't know how I missed it, Jeremiah, mate, because it's a big old call to action on there. So,
well, I'm working on the site. Don't poke fun at me, guys. I'm working on it. I'm getting
there. It's awesome. I love it. And just one thing, just to demonstrate the power that Jeremiah has and how well respected he is. When you hit Jeremiah's site, there's a picture of him and Gary V on there together. So if any of you doubters are fearful about who Jeremiah is and what level is at, Gary V doesn't get involved with anybody. So there's a big icon there. So hopefully any skeptics, skeptic comments like, who's this guest, who's that guest, sometimes on some comments, well, you make your own mind up about that, but I'm telling you, I only put best people on the show, and Jeremiah certainly sits in that top 10. So what we're going to do, without further ado, let's buckle up. Let's dig deep into the Shark's tried and trusted knowledge in sales and automation, but also some stories about life and the
people.
And the people and the giving and, the selling to serve thing that we're going to touch on this as well is a big sort of DNA that's embedded into this. So if you're serious, not just about improving your sales performance, and you're serious about just learning from these global sort of initiatives that we're trying to bring to the show, but also you just want to become a better person. You want to fill in those blanks, but because I see, a lot of people saying, hey, Mike, I've done a sales training course and I get it, but, I don't think I'm cut out to adapt to it. And how do I execute on it? What I want you to do is listen and read between the lines for what Jeremiah is going to bring to the show today, because there is so much value, not only in the filler stuff as well as the core stuff. It's just going to be 100 miles an hour. So without further ado, buckle up, let's get started. And Shark, tell us the real story behind being successful in sales, and what's your take on this?
Oh, wow, that's a great one. The real success, and I figured this out just recently. I didn't Infusionsoft, and I'm a little bit embarrassed because I had done a lot of great things and done some big numbers within terms of sales, right, and results before coming to Infusionsoft. But I wish I would have figured it out earlier. But it's really getting out of your own way, and for everybody, it's different. So you've got to really do a ton of self-reflection, get to know who this person is. And then when you get to know this person, you can get to know that person really easily. And that's what it's all about, my friends, because people want to buy right from the people they like and trust without question. Your product might not even be the best product on the market, but you can sell because of that trust factor. And that
it's the care, isn't it? It's, I give you an example. We've got and this show is all about sharing examples so you can relate to it and listening, and it's about education. Quick story, Jeremiah, about that caring and that know, like, and trust. We've got a digital phone system in our agency, and we've currently got handsets on our desk. And we're looking for a provider. We've got outbound calls off our system, but we don't have inbound. So we still have to take the inbound calls on the handset, but we can call it off the computer. So I'm looking for a system that can come in. And we've had various conversations. And, if you're a sales pro out there, listen to and challenge yourself if you do this. And this is what Jeremiah's talking about looking at yourself and seeing how you act and being self-aware. Because here's a quick story, 15 seconds or less. We went through the sales process. The sales guy was awful. It was all about him and his product, not asking questions about what I want. And then when I said to him at the end, well, look, you spent 15 minutes telling me about what you do, and you're trying to cram 5 minutes in what I want, and you've not answered any of my questions. So I'm a little bit disappointed with it, so I'm not going to shortlist you. And you could see the tone in his voice go down, and he's like, oh, yeah. And he just couldn't wait to get me off the phone. And I felt it as if then, because I was polite with him, but because that, look, I'm not really interested in you just talking at me. I want you to answer my questions and find out what's important to me. And all the energy he had when he was talking about himself went down, and he couldn't wait to get me off the phone. And instead of saying, hey, I apologize about that, let's either set up another call, let's readdress it, thanks for the feedback, and let's get on that. And he could have recovered that sale because it wasn't terminal by a long way. It's just the way he carried out. And, he wasn't self-aware. He wasn't aware of the customer journey. And ultimately, mate, I lost confidence with him. I didn't trust him, and we've moved on. And that's something that you can think about. So have a good challenge and look at yourself. If you're listening to this show in sales, and what's your pace, your pitch, your maintain? How are you as a person throughout that process? And if you are not maintaining it and putting the customer first, then ultimately, the real story behind being successful, what Jeremiah's talking about here is, start with you. I don't know if you've come across that before, Jeremiah, where you've had experience that either in your teams that you've managed and sales reps have done that, or you've been sold to badly like that by another company. I mean, maybe you've got some experience.
Well, I've experienced it myself because I've been that person. Yeah. I've been that person really pushing it, right, versus pulling. Yeah. And salespeople will need a pull versus push.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody wants to be pushed through your process. Yeah. Instead, they actually want to be carried through your process, or they want to hold your hand through the process.
Absolutely.
Right. So you're kind of pulling them along versus pushing them. And I think a lot of us are very, very pushy in our process. Maybe not pushing in our word choices or our dialogue, so to speak, but your process. Is your process showing compassion, right? And really bringing that wow factor even after they hang up the phone on that first impression or leave your office.
Absolutely. And that's a great way. So thanks for sharing that. And we talked earlier in my intro about the modern day sales pro, if we call it that way, have got to be more than just salespeople. They've got to be have a lot wider, peripheral vision to sort of whether it's fluent or certainly highly competent in multidisciplines. And one of those, we wouldn't be sales these days without social media. So why do we believe social media is so important in the sales pros day to day in today's environment, Shark?
Well, because it can enhance, the wow factor, right? Or that compassionate feeling. And I was doing things after sales meetings or signups, if you will, that were saying things like, congratulations, Success Hub, welcome to the family. I'm excited for 3X and, more leads that are segmented for you guys.
Yeah.
And I would post that, to everybody.
Yeah.
To show really my network, the world, what was happening here. The movement, right? The energy. And that stuff's contagious. Yeah. That's what people want. It's attractive. And when you can show those wins, they're very real as well. Those are the genuine real wins. They're not the fake reels that you see a lot of on the social. So when you can be real and showcase the energy and the compassion, your wow, and bring that customer into that, very, very strong.
It is. And I think one of the first times I met you, you were, all over Facebook. You were constantly on it, doing things for us, for other partners, for other customers. And, what it also does as well, I suppose, Jeremiah, is it shows that you're successful by building relationships and, sharing that success. And people want to be associated with successful people, don't they? Nobody wants to be associated with that loser in the corner. And look, I know if you're going to have a debate with me on the listeners, everybody's a loser. I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, but all I'm trying to say is,
right.
The people on the show who listen to us, they know I speak directly. I'm always respectful, but that person who's miserable in the corner, that person who's not motivated, that person who's pulling everybody down, that's the person I'm talking about. Whether you call them a loser or just underperforming, it doesn't matter at this point. Don't pick me up too much on that, guys.
Call them the closers. They're the closers. You're talking about the servers.
Yeah.
The people that are really serving, the wins and the energy again. And I never really was doing Facebook before coming to Infusionsoft or LinkedIn as much as I was. And then I realized that it's just a natural enhancer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember to take, natural supplements, natural enhancers. You get strong. You go to the gym and take steroids, your body falls apart, right? There's a little analogy, I guess.
Yeah, that's I love that one. Love it. For me as well, the channel that's exploded for us here is Instagram. It's gone absolutely berserk.
For everybody.
We are massive LinkedIn because we're in that B2B corporate media, well, certainly higher end stuff. But LinkedIn is good for that. But overall, Instagram at the moment is doing 5 times more than anything else for us, and we're just developing that strategy at the moment. So think about what's working for you, get your data, and as a salesperson, blend it into your process, show loyalty, share and comment, and you're going to get a lot more engagement and build up and trust, I suppose, like you mentioned earlier, didn't you? About the trust.
Well, that's exactly it. I had my team call last night here in the States, the morning over there in Australia and Asia, but I had Ollie Bilson, Ollie. He jumped on.
Ollie, amazing digital marketer.
One of the best ever. He jumped on with me, and we talked about that, though. And one of his messages was, give as much value as you can, give as much of your good stuff as you can up front, whether you're charging little bits and pieces for it or you're just giving it. And this was in relation to more Facebook advertising we're talking about. But give away your good stuff, you guys. Don't hold it back.
Absolutely. And there's always that question, isn't there, about, well, if I give it away, what's left? Well, no, because there's a great saying, and I believe is it Steve Wozniak, the Apple guy, where he said that, knowledge is free, time should be paid for. And, whilst you do put time into doing free podcasts and free meetings and things like that, I get that. But ultimately, that knowledge, you can build, you can demonstrate your authority and give it away. And then, if somebody wants maybe 10 or 15 minutes of your time, you give that away in moderation with a bit of qualification around that. But then, if they want to say, hey, Mike, I want a day with you, or hey, Jeremiah, I want a day with you, well, that's going to be chargeable because that's slightly more than what we've done. But it helps to demonstrate your authority.
Well, give them a taste. Yeah, give them a taste. Yeah.
Absolutely. Every way. But awesome stuff. So when we talk about sales, I think last time we spoke, we talked about we're selling to serve. And again, the concept of selling to serve is not just a statement for the listeners. It's a methodology. It's a process. Yes. It's a lot deeper. And again, I mentioned right out at the top of the show, if you want to learn more about that, head over to jeremiahshark.com, and you can see, a lot more about what Jeremiah does on that sort of front. But in that, you talk about the long game, and we throw statements around, left, right, and center. But I want to really clarify it for the listeners about that long game and things like that. So why is sales all about the long game today, Shark?
It always has been.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either, though, right? And I just realized this again recently, within the last 6-7 years. But when you look at conversion, and maybe not just sales, but if you look at the whole thing of conversion, you had mentioned it a little bit earlier, the buyer's journey. It's one of the best and most powerful things that I could teach right now is that. But when you look at the consumer today, the consumer is going to make the final call, whether they're buying, a nice Garmin watch, right, $600-700, right, or they're buying a little widget, a phone case, right, $20, $15. That's an easy decision. But no matter what, the buyer is in charge.
Yeah.
So we have to remove the forceful type of old selling approach and become more of a storyteller and a guide versus the hero, right? And, again, I saw it from self-awareness, and I was analyzing my actions as a sales leader at Infusionsoft. And I had been missing a few numbers, and I was going, why is this happening?
Yeah.
The leads are fine, right? The product's amazing. I have all the opportunity in the world to do this. Why is it happening?
Why is it not clicking?
Yeah, exactly. So it was a me thing. But I think the long game, really, to go back and shorten this up a bit, everybody's got a plan for the low-hanging fruit. You guys are really good at that. We're great at that. For the buyers that want to go now or sooner than later. But what we're not so good at is the buyers that need time. Or that aren't ready for your product. They might be ready for a smaller product or something similar, but they're not ready for you. What do you do with them? That's the long game.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of them, they get impatient, don't they? So just because they don't get a decision today, but then sort of throw it away instead of nurturing that. And that's so important, isn't it? That nurture.
Well, those are our best customers, right? Or the people that actually aren't ready, but then we take the time to nurture and educate and mature, if you will. Yep. And they've actually had to do some things on their own too, right? Because it's a two-way street. So we've all come back together at a period of time, whether it's a month or a year or whatever. And we've said, holy heck, you're ready. Congratulations. You've done it. We're ready. Let's go.
That's it.
And they sign up. And they're the best.
Keep in touch.
Yeah, they're the best. They send referrals. They're not picky. They're not crying about everything and creating those headaches for you as an agency owner, because proper expectations have been set, impressions have been felt, memories have been made that way, and then people have moved, and that movement's happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, when I look at it and I speak to my team about the long game, just because they're not wanting to buy today, that means either two things: that you've not qualified it right, you're not ready, you've not provided enough value up front for them to sort of move them in, you've not understood, you've not followed the process. Like I say, the customer's entitled to do what they want. And if you sort of ask informative questions and take them down a process that is based on their end result and about them more than about what you can make or sell out of it, you're always going to do a better result. So the long game in sales is pretty important, because otherwise you're just that salesman. And we have a saying over here, Joe, I don't know if you got it over there, mate, which is commission breath. And
I love it.
It came out of the car. It came out of the car sales world, that you're on there and buy today, and all the customer hears. He doesn't hear. He just feels this commission breath coming out, and it's really bad. And you don't want that. And you want to sort of be that trusted advisor more than that precious sales. So the long game. So work on it. And a couple of tips on the long game. If you were to pick out a couple, of, obviously, because it is descriptive in a way. But if you were to sort of give a couple of tips for them to practice.
Well, it's a really cliche. A lot of people are saying long game, and Gary talked a lot about it and kind of brought awareness to his version of it. But yes, I think again, long game is it's different for everybody, and like again, getting out of your own way. Everybody has to do that in their own personalized approach.
Yep.
But that's really the first step, is really get to know yourself and your selling style. Yeah. Right. Know you and your style. And then 2 is mentally get prepared.
Yeah.
Because if you can't mentally and spiritually be prepared for the long game, you're going to start experiencing rejection, right? You're going to start coming from scarcity. You're going to be self-driven, all of those things that are on the selling to close side, right?
Instead of the selling to serve side.
Right. And then your commission rep. So really understanding yourself, your process, and then mentally making that shift.
Yeah,
literally mentally making the shift.
Yeah, I think I might copyright that and get a nickel out of you every time you use it in your presentations now, Joe. Credit for that one for sure. I don't know where I got it from. So if any of the listeners out there say how you use it as well, drop us a message on either Instagram or Twitter using hashtag #TheOpenMic. And
hashtag commission breath.
Yeah, hashtag commission breath. And let's see how much we can get traction going on that one. That's pretty
solid. Yeah, I knew right away what you're talking about. Like that's universal, and we want to remove that commission breath, guys. So I think that just mentally getting into the right mindset for it. And then the third thing, I guess, would be studying. Reading something weekly that's of sales nature. It doesn't have to be like from one of the gurus like Grant Cardone or any of these true salespeople, but Google something in terms of sales.
Yeah.
Like and read it. There's a lot of stuff on entrepreneurial.com, Inc., Forbes. There's a ton of
HBR stuff.
There's a ton of small business forums that have stuff about sales and what's happening today in the landscape. Yeah. So you're just kind of a little bit more up to speed, and you're not just doing the same stuff.
Jeremiah, I remember going back, 20 years when I was sort of like on that rep level, 1993, just to date the podcast, it's been recorded in October 2018, so I'm talking a good 25 years ago. And I remember listening on cassette in the car to Zig Ziglar. Zig talks about the proud profession, which is sales. And it's a profession. If you look at a professional athlete, we're going to talk more with Jeremiah in a moment about that, but professional sport, they're professionals. They make a living out of it. They're not just jackasses who are turning up as amateurs. So if you're a sales guy or a girl who's going to turn up and just think you're going to sort of, I'm a salesperson, I've got it on my business card, I've got a sales exec or a sales rep, and I'm listening to what the others do, and I'm just going to sort of paddle along, then your results are going to be down. You do have to put the study in what Jeremiah is saying here. You've got to pick something up, and it's a great tip what he's covering, Jeremiah. Once a week, whether that's 10 minutes, half an hour, 2 hours, whatever you can find. Cut the radio, cut the TV, put an audio book in the car instead of the radio or whatever iTunes you're playing at the moment, and listen to the great sales leaders. There's loads of them. We had We recently interviewed Skip Miller from M3Learning.com. Skip Miller is like one of the global leading sales trainers, 38 countries, translated, Amazon bestseller, 5 years on the road, books, Pick Up Selling to Serve.
Great book.
Tips. Pick Up Proactive Selling.
Proactive, and then his other one that he did even before that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And things like that. So go and study it, because if you're not, you think about it. Here's something that's going to segue nice into the sports science stuff and that mentality, because you talked about the mindset, Shark. And you think about Tiger Woods as a golfer or Serena Williams as a tennis player, they still have coaches who teach them how to swing a golf club or teach them how to swing a racket. Now, here's the question that'll sort of bake your noodle when you think about it, and you'll scratch. Do you think that the coach can play golf better than Tiger Woods? Probably not. Do you think the tennis coach who coaches Serena Williams can hit a ball better than Serena Williams? No. But the watching, the looking at it, the monitoring it, and the giving tips and advice for continuous correction, because as a sales pro as well, doesn't matter what track you're on, you eventually erode and lose, not faith, but you lose your direction. You just get off angle.
You lose energy a little bit, Mike. Yeah, you get stale, and you get a little flat, and you get entitled.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think when we're doing these things, your saw is always sharp, and you're able to adjust your style as needed because you're analyzing again weekly. I would do a weekly, reflection of how I did during the week, and then I would tie that into a learning piece, and that was either on a Monday or a Friday as part of my routine.
That's awesome.
And I've actually got away from it a little bit, as I haven't been, direct, one-to-one on the sales side. I'm more sales training and leading now, but I want to bring that back in, and that's valuable.
Yeah, and you raise your hand, you recognize it, you put some time aside, and you get on with it, and you certainly do from there. So that's awesome.
Well, and Skip was somebody too, Mike, that really helped me on a very individual level, because we had Skip as our teacher.
He did a lot of work with Infusionsoft, didn't he?
For about a year, I almost want to say. So I was grateful and lucky to have that experience.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. The podcast that we did with Skip last week, it was actually in the Presidio in San Francisco, the old military base. We did it. It is amazing sort of guy. And again, you can check out Skip Miller at M3Learning.com and online. What they do is amazing. And I know you can credit a lot of your success to just what Skip put in and that strategy of proactive selling, can't you?
Well, there's a reason why Skip's, highly successful and employed, in this field, because there's a lot of sales pros that aren't doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I can make it as a sales consultant too. And it's time, because all of these salespeople need a sales leader to help them get out of that funk, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I suppose just to finish on that point, Shark, don't be embarrassed to raise your hand and say, hey, I need help, even if it's with your sales leader, your sales manager. I'm sure they'd more appreciate you doing that than sit there underperforming and getting down, wouldn't they?
Well, it's that, and then you are bounced out of that job, and you go to another sales job, and you're there for a little bit, and then you go to another sales job, and you're there for a little bit, and you just keep that routine going. It's like, hold on, you can be a professional in sales. You make the choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Great thing. And, if you're listening to this on the app, just stop, pause, rewind 10 seconds. You can be a professional in sales. That is one of the best lines I've picked up so far. I'm gonna steal that back. I'll trade you off.
Oh, we're even. We're even.
We'll cancel out the nickels. Okay. So we talked in the intro about Jeremiah being an athlete, and all professional athletes, from track athletes to field athletes. It takes a specific professional focus and discipline, which is key to their success. And how can salespeople take that sort of sports discipline, Shark, and then apply it to their sales career? And why do you think that is?
Well, let me roll back to when I was playing college. So wake up early, 6:45, 7, and you go for the run.
Yeah.
Okay. And nobody, even the strikers and the central mids and the fittest of the fits. I was a goalkeeper, guys. Right. So I was always in the back on the runs. But nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted to do it. But everybody knew that they had to have it. They had to have the conditioning. Plus they had to have the mental strength that was coming from that. When we do things that we don't really want to do, right? that mental strength starts happening, that fortitude is emerging, and you're becoming just a strong rock. So that, right, training piece in the morning, and then going to school, right, learning, studying, doing that interaction, that networking, and then coming back in the afternoon for the drill practice with the ball.
Again.
Yeah. So double days. And again, by that time, you're pretty cooked. 4:30-ish, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And, when I was actually, my sophomore year, I was a dual athlete. So I was doing football practice and all this stuff. So I had 3 practices. But that cadence, though, the ritual, the routine, right, of this at this time and that at that time, and then I was going to go do this. It creates the right habits, the habits of drill, almost militaristic in style, right? And when you're on point like that, you guys aren't missing things, and you're creating the right habits and the right rituals as a sales professional. So let me fast forward that into my career as a sales pro. And let's go specifically to Infusionsoft. Come in the morning, read scripture. So start my day very clear-headed with a purpose. Right? And a why. Not saying, hey, go read the Bible. I don't know where your religion is or what you're doing there, but do something that way that's going to get you centered and very focused on your why.
Dialed in to what you're doing.
Yeah, why and purpose, right? Now it's a little bit different. Now it's that scripture work with a little bit of reflection on Vic and my family and these things, right? So that for 15 to 30 minutes. And then I would take 10 or 15 more minutes and read something industry related. Go on LinkedIn and snoop around a little bit, pull up an article, read it, share it if it was good, right? Like a few things, start getting in the game a little bit for the morning, right? And then I was going to my calls, and I would work a block of activity, 2 to 3 hours straight, right? And then I would take a break, right? During that break, I'd get up and walk around, right? I'd feel my legs, right? Get up and talk to somebody on the other side of the building, go explore, come back 10 minutes, right? 15 minutes maybe, no more, no less, no, not going over, but getting right back into another block of activity. Right? So this seems very similar to sports and training.
Sports science,
that regimen. So, if you can work your day that way, and then I would always end with a gratitude journal entry or 2, writing in my journal. It's very specific. It's a gratitude journal. It's part of the things that I realized is one of the healthy things to do as a salesperson, write down what you're thankful for, especially when it gets tough. But I would end that way, go back to my fitness cadence where I would go to the gym, Mike, and then I would have a complete day. And then I could actually give it to my family in the evening because I was done.
And then you've left it all on the field. You've not, you're in, you're out, and you sort of. And I think if you break it down, and thanks ever so much for sharing that, because I've sat there, and I look at so many people who are either not organized, they don't have structure, they don't have discipline. And I tell you what you do. If any of the listeners out there or watchers on the YouTube channel are ex-military, shoot me a message using the hashtag #OpenMic, because I love employing military or ex-military people. One of the best, and I'll give a shout out, and I'll name this, one of the best sales managers I ever employed when I was in the public traded companies was a guy called Gary Scott, and Gary was ex-RAF. And he came in, he was smart, he was focused, he was on time, he was disciplined, he did what he said, he was good to his word, he got a result, he was a genuine kind person, he was a family man, loved his family, and all those things. And then, you look at those, what I call ego bravado type, who come in, I've worked for this company, and they were lazy, weren't as they, and Gary knocked them, and knocked the spots off them. And obviously Gary got promoted, took the general sales manager's role. And I had people coming to my door saying, "Hey, Mike, I've been in sales longer than him. I've got a better track record than him." Yeah, but you don't have the discipline. You don't have the commitment. I can't develop you as the way. I'm always fighting with you. With Gary, I can coach him. I can take him where I need to take him. And Gary, ex-military. So if you're ex-military and you're out of work in the UK, shoot me a message using hashtag #TheOpenMic, and I'll see if I can help you. If I can't help you recruit you directly, I know there's a lot of people like me in the entrepreneur sort of C-suite who are looking for that type of dedicated discipline.
Yep.
And I know the example for Jeremiah was sports, but I just wanted a reference that, I've never been that awesome at sport, but, with the military was a more of a direct reference to my side. But either way, it's exactly
It's the same. It's the same. And I have that same interest, Mike, in the military. You know my story. It was sport. It was sport or go be a ranger. Yeah. And I checked out at the last minute. What it would have been like if you went that way. But, and then at work, we've got Nate, one of my dear friends. He's Ranger and military, and, he's an amazing employee.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're that way.
You can tell them that they don't actually have it, of course, but they've got this aura around them of respect, and people just do that. And, there's one thing that, when I've come on holiday and vacation to the States, we've gone to some of the theme parks, things like SeaWorld and Universal, and they do these shows, and then they always before say, if you're in the military, stand up, and everybody gives them a round of applause in America. We don't get it in the UK like that. And, it breaks my heart because, these guys are putting it on the line every day, and the girls, of course, on the military, are classic more as that. But I see it in the States, and it sort of brings a tear to my eye when we went to the Pro Bowl in Arizona, and they stand up for the military, and it's all there. Foot on the clouds. Those guys and girls out there.
Remember when we did that, Mike?
Yeah, I did. One of the best days when we did Infusionsoft there. A big thanks to Infusionsoft taking me to the Pro Bowl 2015, I think that was.
It was solid. Yeah,
amazing.
Something that really touches me in the heart. I mean, just the irony of it too. I mean, because we got our independence from England, and you guys have that mad respect. Like, guys, I'm rushing literally to get into the stadium. I want to pay my respect for the anthem. Yeah, but I'm literally rushing, and the guy say, "Jared, no, stop. Yeah. Let's get it." Yeah, and I'm like, wow, let's stop. That's incredible.
Yeah, and I said, do you remember what I said on the show, guys, about the little stuff that sits in between these conversations with Jeremiah? He's an absolute powerhouse with it, and the value that if you're looking to model yourself in sales and you want to have the right attitude, the right discipline, head over to jeremiahshark.com. Set up a call with him. Just have 30 minutes.
Just talk to me. And I'm working on the content, you guys. I'm going to have the Selling to Serve University done soon.
Awesome.
Where they can spend a nominal fee, Mike, and go and take the course and grow their confidence and their capabilities.
And is there a roadmap for that, Jeremiah, for people?
And I'm getting there. And I'm leaning on some people for help. Obviously, I've got some of the best people in my corner for that, but I'm close. I need to really just get in the studio, get the digital piece of it done, and then get the rest of the flow content together, and then we'll go.
Yeah, that's brilliant. We'll keep an eye out for that. And when it's ready, let us know, and we'll get that promoted for you as well.
Awesome, brother.
Tons of value in that. So as we just sort of come into the back end of the question sort of side of this and the expertise side, we talked about the sports, we talked about the military, fitness, whether that's fitness of the mind, fitness of the body. Why is that so crucial when you were playing that into sales? Having that clarity.
Well, to everything, to business. If we were to get Clay on, and Clay could talk about this, and I think, just the amazing 17 years of them founding and growing and creating Infusionsoft, his health and the way that he works out is played a very important role into that. And I've heard him talk about that to groups and to me individually. But I realized it at Infusionsoft again. I think, when I look back, whenever that time is, Mike, I'm not done, obviously. I've got a mission still. But whenever that time is, when I look back, I'll be forever indebted because of the way I've grown as a human and as a man, certainly as a sales leader. But the way that I've grown from just a health perspective, like I've lost 25 plus pounds since being there, and I've kept it off. And the way that I've done it is through realizing that this is a good thing for me. I need that release. And, to be the best father, the best person, the best employee that I could be, I've got to do these things. Yeah. So I've already worked out today. Today's just kind of the Friday pieces, you're sore. It's the last workout of the week. Go in there and don't skip and don't wimp it. All right, go in and get it. Give it your all type of day. Yeah. And I've hit every day this week, and I'll do that every week. I don't do Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. But I'm telling you what, I'm strong. I don't got the six pack. I don't want that yet. If I wanted it, I would have it. I still like to eat things and drink beers.
I know that, and the discipline that you have, you go and get it for sure.
But But the thing is, like, I feel good. I can let a lot of the stresses go. Stuff that used to bother me doesn't bother me like it used to. I'm much better with Erica than I've ever been. I'm strong with my inner circle and my network. And it's because of the fitness piece. And maybe it's not fitness for you. Maybe it's yoga. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's just going on a planned walk with your spouse or your partner. And that, to some degree, is fitness because you are out physically moving and burning calories.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, the psyche and the brain needs you to do those things, friends. Find it. And what
it's
it is.
Chemical balance, isn't it? And and you get that clarity, and it's not all work. You do get that break, and you do feel
well. I've been talking a lot about being balanced, Mike, with my team because I'm seeing a lot of the partners not as balanced as they need to be.
Yeah.
And that's not no shame on anybody. This is the entrepreneurial world that we're in, right? And that balance is super hard. And when I say balance, I don't want to say work-life balance. I say balance operationally, where you can keep the business moving, where you've got sales coming in, you've got service happening, that wow factor's there, where you have it, right? That balance. But when you have the balance, obviously, in the business, you can go on a damn vacation without worrying about it. But I was sharing an article that I read. It was Lewis Howes, and it's a little blog that he put together for, I think it was Inc. maybe, or Forbes, but it was talking about entrepreneurial balance that way, right? Staying operational. And he said that he uses meditation. I know he works out too, but he uses meditation to help with the balance.
Amazing. Yeah. And so whether it's the fitness of the mind, the balance, the release, keeping sharp, getting that chemical, that serotonin running, all that type of stuff, whatever it is, just get that release, because ultimately, as that translates back into sales, Jeremiah, it's going to make you sharper. It's going to make you focus. Your customers are going to feel it, that you're there on point.
Well, and going to the pub and having beers after work with your chaps is not getting sharp.
No, absolutely.
I'm not saying don't do that, right?
I don't drink anymore.
Well, I'm not. I wasn't pointing at you. I was pointing at your son, Junior. He's too young, I think. Sure, yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, how many of the sales pros are going to go to happy hour after work?
Yeah.
And that's their release. It's like, whoa, hold on. That could be an added release. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jeremiah, as always, I appreciate you sharing the insights. And again, I can't wait to listen to this back and get it produced. Just for me, when I do these interviews with successful people like yourself, and we all the people I do on the open mic, I learn so much again, because what I get a weekly release to reset my life. Because and I'm no superhuman, but I
kind of are.
I don't know about that. But I slip and I start to slip a little bit, and I lose a little bit of focus. I have the good days and the bad days, or the good hours and the bad hours, because you always do, and I come onto these shows and I interview awesome entrepreneurs and just, great people like yourself. And, what my team will say, how did it go with this guest or that guest? And what would it go with Jeremiah? And I say, do you know what? I learned this, and everything I do, I take it and apply it next week. So I really started off strong, and obviously this is recorded on a Friday, so I got a bit of a flat one in the middle, but normally it goes in. I'll carry that energy forward, so it's great, and I hope the listeners have done the same. So as we start to wrap it, thanks again, Jeremiah, for adding so much serious value today. It's been, as always, awesome learning and disciplining, and just that humble approach that, I'm just so proud to sort of call you a friend and a colleague as well. So thanks for sharing that.
Thanks, brother.
And as we wrap, what I always like to do for the listeners, because we bounce around, we let it free flow, we're not too scripted, we let it run off agenda. I like people to sort of get a pro tip or 3 pro tips. So when we talk about sales and that sort of process of discipline, give us 3 tips that you'd say out of today's show that, that person who wants to sort of be better, to emulate your sort of discipline. What would they need to do as those 3 tips to sort of, move forward?
Good question. 3 tips. Well, I think 1, try to start conversations or meetings with a positive. Try to talk about something that's going well in the business versus something that they want to change. And I think to do that, it might require you taking some time to do some pre-meeting research about this organization, about this individual you're working with. Because there's certainly something that you can find quickly that they're doing well. And if you can talk about that to start your meeting, you're going places right away. 2, I would look at how you're listening. Like, how are you actively listening? because I take notes on a notepad and with a pen, and I don't transcribe. I don't type. Oh, that was me typing. Sorry. Yeah. I don't type right into the CRM while I'm talking to the client. One, it's distracting to me and the client. Usually they can hear the keyboard.
The keys, yeah.
Yeah. And then two, you're just not active listening. So when you're actually using a notepad and pen, you can get more from a listening perspective, I believe. So try that. And then I guess the third thing I'll give them is a tip from selling to serve. And I would say try to utilize a gratitude journal.
Yeah.
And especially when you're feeling like that call didn't go so well, or the week has ended and you didn't hit your mark, or you're behind in revenue for the month, and you're just feeling a little bit of that scarcity maybe. You pull up that gratitude journal and you get 5 lines in there of things that you're grateful for. And it could be simple things. I'm grateful to have this chair to sit in, to have this podcast with Mike. Grateful to have this technology so I can hear Mike during the podcast. Now, when you break it down very granular like that and get very simple, the small things matter so much. And then it's not so much of a scarcity thing or a rejection thing anymore.
Yeah.
You can move on.
Appreciate it. It keeps you humble as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think maybe all salespeople need that. Stay humble.
Yeah.
That's a good one, Mike.
I just want to quickly share this. It's flashed through my mind. I have so many stories from all the personal development I've done over the last 20 odd years. And another Ziegler one is he did a speech and what you're talking about with the gratitude journal there. And I just want to build on that a little bit just to sort of share the audience. This woman comes to one of the conferences. She's supposed to speak to Zig afterwards. And she goes, you know what? I hate my job. And she goes, she's going on. And so Zig sits down and says, well, tell me 10 things. Do they pay you above average? Yeah, they pay me above average. Do you get dental? Yeah, they get dental. Do you get good time off? Yeah. This. And when she breaks it down, and she goes away, and then like 3 months later, she comes back to a conference, and she comes up to Zig, and Zig said, in that typical Zig style accent, I won't try and emulate it. And she goes, hey, do you remember me? I talked to you 3 months ago. And he goes, yeah, you hated your job and everybody were bad. And she goes, you not believe how much those people have changed. And that's the Zig Ziglar. And because obviously she'd taken that thing and was so appreciative, and he made her write like 15 or 20 things down that she was appreciative.
She's changed.
And it was her mindset. It weren't everybody else who were wrong. It was that. So that gratitude journal is like my similar way of recognizing the Ziegler thing there. But if you've not checked it out there, go check it out. It's the gratitude scene in one of the Ziegler sayings. I'll try and get Jamie to pull out a link. One of our
that'd be epic if you could, Mike. I want to see.
I'll get you the link on it, and I've got the recording anyway. So if not, I'll just get it downloaded and sent to you. But it's an absolute.
Send that sucker to me, and then I'm going to send you the selling to serve picture, so you can maybe share it in the post with these guys, the audience. And I mean, that goes back to one of the first things we talked about was just get out of your own way, salesperson. Make it about them, not you.
Absolutely great. Well, thanks ever so much again, Jeremiah. I'm always appreciative of the time. As I say, if you want to learn a lot more about it and connect with Jeremiah, head over to jeremiah.com. jeremiahshark.com. Make sure you pick up some of the T's as well. And if you want to learn about more automation, how you can build it into your sales process, check out infusionsoft.com. You want to hook up with Jeremiah, he can help you with that, put you in touch with the right people, and you'll learn about what the amazing stuff that piece of software can do and link into your sales processes and get you a little bit more organized as well. So that's infusionsoft.com or jeremiahshark.com. You can check out Jeremiah on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/Jeremiah Shark MSM. That's Mike, Sierra Mike at the end. I'll get that link put below as well, and we'll go from there. So Jeremiah, thanks again for being on the show. It's been amazing to have you again. Amazing.
Thank you, Mike. Well done. Great show. Bless you guys. Look forward to connecting with everybody.
That's fantastic. So thanks for listening to the show. We really appreciate all the listeners tuning in to this episode. And as always, to get in the game, boost your sales education with jeremiahshark.com. Go do the hustle. Go make it happen. And we'll see you on next week's show.
You have been listening to The Open Mic, brought to you by The Success Hub. To find out more and to get the resources we have mentioned in this podcast episode, simply visit blog.thesuccesshub.io and view the podcast section. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to catching up with you in our next episode. This podcast and associated materials is published under copyright to The Success Hub. All rights reserved. No reproduction of this material is permitted.